A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of IIT Bombay, I'd like to welcome all of you to the inauguration of the newly refurbished Hostel-5. Let's kickstart today's celebrations. I now invite Professor Sudarshan, Deputy Director, Academic and Infrastructural Affairs, IIT Bombay, to please deliver the welcome address.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the newly renovated H5. It's a great pleasure to have all of you here. I can see many of you are back here after many decades, and I hope you can see the hostel, as it was in your time, not as it looked in, let's say, Chichore. So, I think for everyone who has done, whether it's the undergrad, in this case I think all of you did your undergrad here, but it's also true for our graduate students, the formative years here in the hostel are something which really changes our lives. The kind of friendships we make with people. I'm not from Bombay, I'm from Madras, but the same thing applies. In fact, it applies more in Bombay. My friends from here, I know that their bonds with others in the hostel are tremendous. And they last a lifetime. Is it okay? And those bonds are special. It defines your career in many ways. It helps you in some ways in your career, but more important, it helps you in life, with your friendships. And I'm sure H5 in its earlier times when many of you were here served that role very well. It's a very nice hostel. Now, of course, fast forward many years, we have the same hostels. Now, in their old age, like many of us here, getting a little decrepit, we manage. But our hostels needed facelift. And more important, we now have a lot more students than we had back then. All of us had single rooms. Unfortunately, the current generation is not as lucky. We have not been able to build hostels at a fast enough pace to keep up with the sudden growth that has happened beyond our control. So we have been forced to double up students in various rooms, and as a result, there's a lot of pressure on the system and a pressure on our students. And this is something which, is something we feel, but I think our alumni here who are here today have felt even more than we as faculty have felt. They've seen this, they've seen a need, and it is really nice that they took this feeling that, there is a need here and did something about it. I think that defines an IIT. We don't just sit and watch. We want to be involved and make a difference in what happens. And it's really nice that a whole group of alumni took it upon themselves to not only fund this activity, but to also actually make it happen. And they made it happen very quickly, very nicely. The place looks lovely now. Of course, this is one part, renovating these old hostels, but there is also a need to construct new hostels. It's not just enough to manage with these. And it's really nice that a larger group of alumni have worked on the project Evergreen, which is now rebuilding H8. And it will also have a wing which is essentially a replacement for H7, plus a wing for girls which is H21. So 3 wings of a new hostel in place of H8. And that capacity, which all of these hostels are about 350 as single rooms, it will go to about nearly 1200 capacity in the same footprint. And we need that because we don't have extra land. Land is not growing anywhere. We can't encroach upon Powai Lake. So it's nice that our group of alumni who are here today have shown the path for the next group of alumni. And after this, we have more hostels. We have more hostels that are crumbling, which either need to be repaired or rebuilt. So once we get space, H6 would be probably the next one to be rebuilt. And in fact, some of our alumni from H6 have already started talking to us about taking the process of rebuilding it forward. So it's very nice that all this is happening. So thank you all very much for this. I would like to particularly thank some of the alumni who took the lead on this. There were obviously many who participated, many of you are here. But I would like to particularly thank Mr. Ajit Javle. Mr. Suhas Mehta. And his son, who is not our alumnus, but nevertheless, he actually played a big role in physically rebuilding this place. Mr. Nitin Doshi. Mr. Nandkishore Nemade. And last but not least, Mr. Dhananjay Sahiba. I'd also like to thank all the others who, from IIT, who helped to make this a reality. In particular, our former Dean IPS, Professor Vishwanathan, our current Dean IPS, Professor Tom Matthew, Professor Vedagiri, who is our Associate Dean IPS, a large number of people from Estate Office who made this happen. I don't know who all are here. And Suhas Joshi, yes, Suhas Joshi, who organized this whole thing and then ran away before it completed to Indore. And his able replacement, Ravindra Gudi, who's also an alumnus. Which hostel? Four. Who else did? Yeah. Yes. So to finish up the internal to IIT part, Dean Student Affairs, Professor Tapnendu Kundu. Associate Dean Student Affairs, Professor George Matthews, is not here. And from the individual side, if there's anybody else I have missed, please let me know. On the association side, group of individual side, we'd really like to thank our Alumni Association, led ably by which has taken on many things. Sorry? And our Heritage Foundation. I don't know if anyone from there is here today, but sitting in the US, they have done a lot for us and continue to do so. In fact, IIT Bombay's Alumni Association and Heritage Foundation have been leaders in whatever they have done, best among all the IITs for many years. So we are really thankful to their long-term support. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening program.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Mr. Dhananjay Sahiba, an alumnus of Hostel-5, to please share his experiences.
It's a great pleasure to be here. We've been working at this now for about 2.5 years, and there's a whole bunch of people who, from the hostel and from the Alumni Association, from the Heritage Fund, from the DRF, who have all come together to make this happen. And this project really is teamwork in action. So you're going to meet the 4 or 5 key guys who were felicitated earlier, Suhas, Ajit, and so forth. But there are some other people that I would very specially like to mention. One is, of course, Kirat Patel from the Alumni Association. He is the oldest member of the Alumni Association, having founded it. And whenever there is anything legal, anything associated with things like MOUs and stuff like that, I call Kiran, say, Kiran, what do we do with this? And cut, we get the job done. So that MOU that we managed to put together as part of this effort between the institute and the Bombay Heritage Fund in New York and the Alumni Association, that was the key to enabling this project to happen. So a big round of applause for Kiran and the Alumni Association. Unfortunately, Girish is not here, but we have Sudhir and we have Lata, the CEO from the Alumni Association. Please give them a big hand. And then we have a whole bunch of people from the DRF who have been involved in this whole thing. They are the ones who collect the money. Ravi? Yes. And then there is one guy, Shekhar Ranjan, whose job it has been to oversee the execution of the project. So this project has worked out very well, both for the institute, for the alumni. It's kind of really heartwarming to see so many alumni come back to celebrate this event. And so now from the DRF side, I want to introduce the CEO of the DRF, Ravi Shankar. He's from the class of 1990, and now he's going to start he and his team are going to start following up with you guys to collect more money for all the other stuff that we need to do in IIT. So give them all the help that you can do. And then for all the other people who are not here from all the other hostels, I hope they manage to see this video or whatever it is. So I have a message for them. So when we were here in IIT, we used to have something called a Gali competition. And we used to go up on the roof with microphones and yell abuses at each other. So we have heard the first abuse. We have fixed the hostel. Now it's the turn of all the other hostels to get together and fix them also. Yeah? Bye.
Thank you, Shiba. Let's now hear from Mr. Suhas Mehta, who will share his memories and time spent at H5, a former resident of the hostel.
Hello. We have to learn something from the nature to give back. Sun gives energy. So, after passing out from here and becoming an alumni, we have to do something for the institute. And we are very happy that we came together as hostel alumni and started a movement. Thank you.
I can see everyone getting nostalgic here and perhaps reminiscing about your own time spent at the hostel. Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts. I now invite Mr. Ajit Javle to address the audience.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. So, a lot of things have been said so far and repeated so many times. I think this is an opportunity for me to thank the people who really got the work done. So, we have been only advising, passing bills, etc. But let me just introduce to you the people who really got the work done. So, one is Mr. Vaibhav Kale, he's from my organization. So, he was the project manager, coordinating designs, interfacing with site, checking bills, and he was also assigned the difficult task of negotiating with all my old friends to put their prices below the market rate so that we have something left. So he did a good job of it, and we have some funds left by which we can now renovate something more than our original plan. Then we have Mr. Gaurav. Where is Gaurav? Yes. He is the person who has designed all this. We have been only talking about the actual drawings, etc. are done by him. Then Ameya Suhas's son was the person who really got the construction going, because he was the first person responsible to ensure that the work does not stop, and manpower and resources and materials reach site. Similarly, there was a person called Tejas. Is he there today? Yes. So Tejas and Manoj were the construction managers here, and you were there for the entire duration of the project. Then from Nemade's team, there was a person called Sachin, I think. No? Is he not there today? So he was the person who was supervising all this work. And from Nitin's team, there was one Mr. Mayekar. Where is he? I saw him. So these are the people who were here for the entire duration of the project, staying in the hostel to get things out. And I also to thank Shekhar. He had a long run, but he was as enthusiastic in getting this work done as much as the alumni. He came in a little late, but after he came in, all the bottlenecks, all the pinpricks vanished, and it was smooth sailing after that. So thanks, Shekhar. And there was one more gentleman, Mr. Santosh Sawant. Where is he? Is he there? Yes. So Mr. Santosh Sawant was supervising the entire work for the entire duration of the project. He was appointed by the alumni to oversee the entire work. And Pradeep Bhadar, where is he? I didn't see. Did IPL. So these are the people I have been seeing that have been there right through this. And thank you all of them, because you made it happen finally.
Thank you, sir. We shall now hear from Mr. Nitin Doshi, an alumnus of H5. Sir, I request you to please share a few words with the audience.
Yeah, namaste to all. Like all of you, I also always look for an excuse to come back to H5. And I've been doing that pretty regularly. And then when one day when Jowle and Speedy, we miss him today. Speedy was a great guy. They called me and said, let's meet. I couldn't, but Suhas and Speedy and Jowle met, and then the rest is history. One thing good that I really appreciate is that the institute is looking after the old buildings. Otherwise, it's very fashionable today to remove the old and make the new ones, not knowing that the new ones may not be as good as the old ones. So, as the saying goes, old can be gold, and it's good to preserve it, and we are happy that the institute is caring for it. It was great fun working here, great fun meeting you. Cheers.
Thank you, sir. I now like to invite Mr. Nandakishore Nemade to address the audience.
I'll just keep it very short. I was very happy. I'm very happy to be associated with this work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will now move on to the next segment of the event. Ladies and gentlemen, we now present a special video on Hostel-5. Take a look.
So it started in about 2019. Yes, 2019. And somebody from our class posted pictures of a rundown hostel. So this gang have spearheaded all of the different aspects of the project. One of our very dear classmates, who unfortunately is no more, and I would like to especially recognize him, Speedy. He was the one who sort of brought this team together, as it were.
Initially we
thought of lot of options what we can do at hostel, and the accepted version is what we see here, and we provide some toilet blocks, we provide some study areas for this hostel, and that's how we started working on it.
We also expanded the scope of the project from just the toilet blocks and the study rooms to also the rehabilitation of the structure. And that is where our friend Nitin Doshi came in.
Buildings are a big asset for the institute, and it is necessary that we look after the buildings. These days it's become fashionable to knock off old buildings and create new ones, but that is wastage of resources. And if you look in good engineering practice, good civil engineering practice, our buildings at H5 are only middle age. A good RCC building should last a century. So it's no point in just neglecting it till it falls down. So that is how we went ahead to ensure that the building is safe for another 15 to 20 years, and the boys get a good clean room to stay and of course study.
State-of-art facility has been air conditioned and proper networking with high-speed internet has been provided,
As well as the electrification.
as well as the
lighting.
electrical work also with proper lux level being maintained has been executed. So very happy to see state-of-art and modern study area and toilet block being handed over to the hostel where we stayed about 30-40 years back.
Now with the confidence we have, so we also plan to expand the work here. The old computer room, etc., which is there, we will refurbish and bring it to the same standard as the other new study rooms.
We had the fundraising mechanism in place, and so when we got this call that, wow, when are you going to start executing the project, we could make an appeal, and lo and behold, in about 5 or 6 weeks, we had 170 people from batches as early as 1969 to 2019 stepping up, and we put together about 5.5 crores in about less than 2 weeks. The wonderful thing is that 170 people contributed. The even more wonderful thing is that there are a lot more people out there. This 170 is a very small fraction. It's less than 10% of the number who have graduated from H5. So we can go out there and appeal and hopefully raise more money than we need to.
Our education in IIT and our stay in this hostel has played a very important role in whatever we are there today. And it was very satisfying that we could give back to the institute and the hostel at least a little bit of all what it gives.
Yes.
It's the most satisfying portion of this work.
To continue from where Ajit has talked about giving back to the institute, which has done so much for us. I also think that great institutes and building a great society is the community effort. That we as a society, all the citizens have to get together to make this happen. And to me, that is the great thing that I see in this entire effort that we put together for our hostel.
Happy that H5 was the first united efforts that has shown that we can come together and do something for the hostel, and for that we are very proud. So 3 cheers for H5.
Yes.
Hooray! Hip hip!
Hooray!
How amazing was that video on the newly refurbished Hostel-5. I hope all of you enjoyed the video. Let's now hear from our current students who are lucky enough to enjoy the new study rooms and other modern conveniences at Hostel-5. Let's begin with Samay Jain. Samay?
Good afternoon everyone. Myself Samay Jain and I am proud resident of Hostel-5. I have been living here for past 3 months and I love this place. I would like to start with our study rooms. These new study rooms are very useful for us. They act as a study hub during day, and during night they act as a gathering area for various exciting discussions. The best feature of the study rooms is that they are open 24/7, which means some of our students who are like night owls, who like to study during night hours, they find it very convenient. The best thing we have got from H5 is air conditioned rooms. These air conditioned study rooms are marvelous. In fact, during the summer days, these air conditioned study rooms act as a total blessing. And I'm pretty sure the study rooms are going to be great blessing for us during semester and examination. At last, I want to say I'm thrilled for my remaining journey in H5. I really want to thank our alumni for giving us so much and for the kind gesture that they have made our life so easy and comfortable. Thank you. Thank you for giving me time.
Thank you, Samay. I now invite Sahil Va next to please share his few words with us.
While Saman has been here for over 3 months, I came here now. And I must say that it feels quite homely. The new study rooms have helped us study and focus better, while the new washrooms have made our lives, it has made our lives really comfortable and easy. The reconstruction and painting of the walls have given this hostel a vibrant and energetic look, while before it was quite dull and gloomy because of the COVID period. As a resident of H5, I hope even I'll be able to give back to this hostel in some way or the other. A huge shout out to our alumni for providing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahil. We are almost at the end of our today's festivities. I'd like to give a big shout out to the H5 alumni who have made today possible. I would now like to invite Professor Goody, Dean Alumni and Corporate Relations, IIT Bombay, to please felicitate our alumni present with us. We shall start with Mr. Dhananjay Saheba. Sir, request you to please join. Thank you, Shiva. I now request Professor Goody to felicitate Mr. Suhas Mehta. Thank you, sir. I now request Mr. Ajit Javle to please join us. I now request Mr. Nitin Doshi to please come. I now call upon Mr. Nandakishore Nemade. Thank you, sir. I now request Professor Goody to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone, and it's really a pleasure to meet up with all of the alumni, especially when the cause is so vibrant and lovely and we get so much of affection and love through their contributions. It's really an amazing feeling that all of us have gathered here. I would just like to begin with a short anecdote which I just heard not even half an hour back as I was coming with a fellow alumnus of Hostel-4. And Dhananjay, you mentioned about going on the rooftops and using the microphones. That apart, as residents of Hostel-4, when the food was bad, we would come and have food in the H5 canteen. Yeah. So we would like to very gratefully acknowledge, So although H4, I'm an H4ite, but H5 had a very close connection to me. So that's the. I think it's a very pleasant responsibility for me to propose a vote of thanks. I think a lot has been said already. Sudarshan, one of the distinguished alumni who have contributed to this project. But it doesn't hurt to re-emphasize and maybe include some additional names. So let me start by thanking the key alumni members Ajit Javale, Nitin Doshi, Nandikishore Nemade, Suhas Mehta and Shiba for all their contributions, their time, the kind of efforts that they have put in, including Suhas Mehta's son. I think this is really commendable and it has set a very high standard, which I would not say we cannot excel, we just have to aim and excel at. Surpass that benchmark is something that we will strive and do. So thank you very much for all your time, your efforts, your contributions in this very nice activity. I would also like to mention the IIT Bombay Alumni Association and the IIT Bombay Heritage Foundation, as well as several of the other alumni who are present here, as well as in the US and elsewhere globally. We would like to thank you for your commitment, for your contributions, and for all the. I got several messages when I sent out the invitation, and they were so profuse in terms of congratulating me. I said, I am not the person to congratulate. It is yourselves who need to be congratulated. And the kind of affection that they have, the kind of commitment they have to the hostel is just phenomenal and very hard to believe at first sight. But being an hostelite myself in H4 though, I can relate to that special feeling of affection. Okay? Professor Sudarshan has already touched upon some of the important aspects of the hostel project and how important a refurbished hostel, and some of the students have also quite nicely mentioned how this will be very useful to them. I think this is truly a home away from your home. Right? And I'm sure all of you would be really comfortable studying, excelling in whatever you are doing. But more importantly, there is already a benchmark that has been set by our seniors, which you should emulate as you go ahead. Right? That's for the future generations of Hostel-5, a better quality of life during their years on campus. I'd like to thank each one and every one of you. In addition, I would like to mention a few other names. Of course, Professor Tom Matthew, the current Dean IPS, but not to forget the earlier Dean IPS, Professor B.V.S. Vishwanathan. If he is there, if you can kindly stand. If you can kindly stand up, sir. I think a special mention because he was very, very instrumental in driving this before Professor Tom Matthews took over. The other person, while Shekhar is there from the Dean ACR DRF side, I would also like to acknowledge Mr. Ramesh if you are here. Mr. Ramesh. Okay, so please give a big round of applause to Mr. Ramesh. The other set of people are the IIT Bombay State Office. I think I need to take some specific names here. From the PHO, Pankaj Bhosle. Here. Vibhudatta Mohapatra. Vibhudatta Mohapatra here. Please give a round of applause to him. Mr. Unnithan. Mr. Rajendran, he is from the EMD. You can just stand up. I did see him. Mr. Rajendran. A round of applause to him. Professor Prabhu Ramchandran and Pradeep Tirmare from the Computer Center. Of course, Shekhar is the very strong bridge in all of these activities. Professor Vedagiri, Associate Dean IPS, if you are there, yeah. Round of applause. And I don't know if Sonali Patwardhan is there from the design cell. Is she here? Sonali Patwardhan. Yeah, please record a big round of applause to her as well. This project really would not have progressed as briskly as it did without the contributions of all of you. And in that sense, certainly a big thanks to all of you. And before I wind up this evening, I would like to thank again everybody for this special occasion, and I hope you enjoyed the celebrations. Of course, the time is too short, an hour is too short to really sink in, let it soak in all your happiness. But really, the hostel and the alumni have a very, very thick cord to the heart, and this is something that we will cherish for a lifetime. So, again, thank you very much for everything, and please enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of today's event. I request everyone to please proceed for tea and refreshments.
There's somebody who needs a very special thanks. He's the one who's done all of this.